Video 21, Part 6b of 25, Inputs to the Create WBS process. The purpose of this video is to develop a WBS to present the inputs to the Create WBS process. The Create WBS process is the fourth process in the Project Scope Management knowledge area and is related to the Planning Process group. Please click the like button. Subscribe to my channel and share with others. Thank you. The first input to the Create WBS process is the Project Management Plan info. But how important is the input of Project Management Plan to the Create WBS process? The Project Management Plan (PMP) is a critical input to the Create Work Breakdown Structure (WBS) process because it provides the foundational guidelines and constraints that shape how the WBS is developed, and the reasons why the Project Management Plan is so important to the WBS creation process are presented now. 1. Scope Management Plan. The Project Management Plan defines how scope will be defined, validated, and controlled, directly influencing the WBS structure. The Project Management Plan specifies whether the WBS should follow deliverables-based or phase-based decomposition. 2. Scope Baseline, if available. The Project Management Plan includes the Project Scope Statement, which outlines key deliverables, assumptions, and constraints that must be reflected in the WBS. If a preliminary scope baseline exists, it ensures the WBS aligns with approved project boundaries. 3. Schedule and Cost Management Plans. The Project Management Plan influences the level of detail in the WBS to support scheduling and budgeting. The Project Management Plan helps determine if work packages should be broken down further for better estimation. 4. Quality Management Plan. The Project Management Plan ensures that quality-related deliverables, such as testing and inspections, are included in the WBS. 5. Risk Management Plan. The Project Management Plan may require additional WBS elements to account for risk responses, such as contingency tasks. 6. Other subsidiary plans, such as resource, stakeholder, etc. The Project Management Plan helps identify work packages related to team assignments, procurement, or stakeholder engagement. How can poor project management plan analysis harm the Create WBS process? Poor analysis of the project management plan can significantly harm the Create WBS process, leading to cascading issues throughout the project. Here's how the Create WBS process can be harmed. 1. Incomplete or misaligned scope decomposition. If the scope management plan is not properly analyzed, the WBS may, first, miss critical deliverables, such as excluding stakeholder-required features. Second, include unnecessary work. Third, misinterpret project boundaries, such as mixing project work with operational tasks. As impact, we may have rework, scope creep, and disputes over deliverables. 2. Unrealistic work package definitions. Poor understanding of the schedule and cost management plans can lead to, first, work packages that are too large, making estimation and tracking difficult. Second, overly granular breakdowns, increasing administrative overhead. As impact, we may have inaccurate timelines, budget overruns, and inefficient progress monitoring. 3. Missing quality or risk-related work. Ignoring the quality risk management plans might result in, first, no WBS elements for testing, inspections, or audits. Second, omission of contingency tasks such as risk mitigation activities. As impact, we may have defective deliverables, unaddressed risks, and last-minute firefighting. 4. Poor integration with other processes. If the resource stakeholder management plans are overlooked, first, work packages may lack clear ownership, such as no assigned roles. Second, stakeholder-specific deliverables, such as training and reports, may be missing. As impact, we may have confusion in execution, delays, and stakeholder dissatisfaction. 5. Inconsistent WBS structure. Without adhering to the project management plan guidelines, such as WBS templates or standards, the structure may, first, vary arbitrarily across teams, such as mixing phases and deliverables. Second, fail to align with organizational practices, complicating governance. As impact, we may have difficulty in reporting, benchmarking, or reusing the WBS for future projects. In conclusion, the project management plan is essential to the Create WBS process because it ensures the WBS is structured in a way that supports all aspects of project execution, control, and delivery. Consequences of ignoring the project management plan in WBS creation. First, you may have misalignment with project objectives and constraints. Second, incomplete or incorrect decomposition of deliverables. Third, difficulty in tracking progress due to poor work package definitions. Last, integration issues with schedule, cost, and risk management. As real-world consequences, we can have project delays due to rework caused by missing inaccurate WBS components, cost overruns due to uncontrolled scope or inadequate work package estimates, stakeholder conflicts when promised deliverables are not reflected in the WBS, failed audits if the WBS does not comply with organizational regulatory standards. Without a proper review of the project management plan, the WBS may not be consistent, accurate, or aligned with the project objectives. A poorly analyzed project management plan undermines the WBS's effectiveness, turning it from a control tool into a source of chaos. Rigorous project management plan review is non-negotiable for WBS success. The second input to the Create WBS process is the project documents info. Question: how important is the input of project documents info to the Create WBS process? The input of project documents information is important but secondary to the Create WBS process. Here's why project documents is important to the Create WBS process. 1. Primary inputs drive the WBS. The project scope statement and requirements documentation are the most critical inputs because they define what needs to be broken down into deliverables and work packages. The project management plan, especially the scope management plan, provides the methodology for creating the WBS. 2. Supporting role of project documents. Documents like lessons learned registers from past project insights, risk registers from potential uncertainties, and stakeholder requirements can influence how the WBS is structured. They help refine the decomposition process but are not the primary basis for WBS creation. 3. Other factors influencing WBS. Organizational process assets, such as templates and standards, and enterprise environmental factors, such as industry norms, also play a role. How can poor project documents analysis harm the Create WBS process? Poor analysis of project documents during the Create WBS process can lead to significant issues in project planning and execution. Here's how. 1. Incomplete or inaccurate WBS. A poor project documents analysis can result in missed deliverables, if requirements documentation or stakeholder registers are poorly analyzed. Key deliverables may be omitted from the WBS. A poor project documents analysis can result in unclear scope boundaries. A weak review of scope-related documents, such as assumptions, logs, and constraints, can result in vague work packages, leading to scope creep. 2. Increased risks and rework. A poor project documents analysis can result in ignored past lessons. Failing to analyze the lessons learned register may lead to repeating past mistakes, such as incorrect breakdowns and unrealistic work packages. A poor project documents analysis can result in unidentified risks. A poorly reviewed risk register means risks aren't factored into WBS structuring, such as missing contingency work packages. 3. Poor stakeholder alignment. A poor project documents analysis can result in unaddressed expectations. Weak analysis of stakeholder requirements or feedback can result in a WBS that doesn't align with stakeholder needs, causing disputes later. 4. Inefficient work packages. A poor project documents analysis can result in overly broad or granular breakdown. Without proper review of historical data, such as past WBS templates, the decomposition may be too high level, with missing of critical tasks, or too detailed, with excessive micromanagement. 5. Cost and schedule overruns. A poor project documents analysis can result in flawed estimates. If resource calendars or vendor contracts, such as supporting documents, are overlooked, work packages may lack proper resource allocation, leading to delays and budget issues. In conclusion, while project documents provide useful contextual information, the Create WBS process is primarily driven by the scope baseline and requirements. Project documents act as supporting references to enhance accuracy and completeness but are not the core input. Poor document analysis weakens the WBS foundation, increasing the likelihood of scope gaps, rework, and project failure. A well-analyzed set of inputs ensures a complete, realistic, and stakeholder-aligned WBS. The third input to the Create WBS process is the Enterprise Environmental Factors info. How important is the input of enterprise environmental factors to the Create WBS process? The input of enterprise environmental factors is quite important to the Create WBS process in project management. Here are the reasons why enterprise environmental factors are important. 1. Organizational standards and templates. Many organizations have predefined WBS templates or guidelines based on past projects, which can streamline the WBS creation process. Industry standards, such as PMBOK, ISO and MIL STD, may influence how the WBS is structured. 2. Organizational culture and structure. A hierarchical versus agile organizational structure may dictate how work is decomposed. Cultural norms, such as risk tolerance and formality, can influence the level of detail in the WBS. 3. Regulatory and compliance requirements. Certain industries, such as construction, healthcare, and government, have strict compliance rules that must be reflected in the WBS. Legal or contractual obligations may require specific breakdowns. 4. Market conditions and technology. Availability of tools, such as WBS software like Microsoft Project and Jira, can affect how the WBS is developed. Emerging technologies may introduce new work components that need inclusion. 5. Geographical and resource constraints. Distributed teams may require a WBS structured around locations or time zones. Resource availability, such as skilled labor or materials, can influence task breakdown. How can a poor enterprise environmental factors analysis harm the Create WBS process? A poor analysis of enterprise environmental factors can significantly harm the Create WBS process, leading to inefficiencies, misalignment, and even project failure. Here we have how a poor enterprise environmental factors can harm the Create WBS process. 1. Incomplete or misaligned WBS structure. First, lack of standardization. If organizational templates or historical WBS models are ignored, the new WBS may be inconsistent with past projects, causing confusion. Second, non-compliance risks. Missing regulatory or industry-specific breakdowns, such as safety phases in construction or audit trails in finance, could lead to legal or contractual penalties. 2. Unrealistic work breakdown. First, resource constraints ignored. If labor skills, availability, or geographic distribution are not considered, the WBS may include tasks that cannot be executed as planned. Second, technology gaps. Overlooking existing tools, such as Agile versus Waterfall software, may lead to an impractical WBS format, such as being too rigid for iterative development. 3. Poor stakeholder buy-in and communication issues. First, cultural misalignment. A WBS that doesn't fit the organization's work style, such as top-down versus collaborative, may face resistance from teams or management. Second, stakeholder expectations mismatch. Ignoring how clients or executives prefer to track progress, such as milestones versus detailed tasks, can lead to reporting conflicts. 4. Increased rework and scope gaps. First, missing critical components. If industry best practices or lessons learned from past projects are disregarded, key deliverables may be omitted. Second, overly complex or oversimplified WBS. Without considering team expertise, the WBS may be too detailed or too vague. 5. Budget and schedule overruns. First, unaccounted external factors. Market conditions, such as supply chain delays or political, economic instability, such as for global projects, may require WBS adjustments too late in planning. Second, inefficient work packages. Poorly defined tasks due to ignored organizational processes can lead to wasted effort and delays. In conclusion, while the primary inputs to the Create WBS process are the project scope statement and requirements documentation, the enterprise environmental factors play a critical supporting role, shaping how the WBS is structured, formatted, and implemented. Ignoring enterprise environmental factors could lead to a WBS that doesn't align with organizational practices, compliance needs, or resource realities. A poor enterprise environmental factors analysis can lead to a flawed WBS, causing miscommunication, rework, compliance risks, and project delays. A well-considered enterprise environmental factors review ensures the WBS is realistic, compliant, and aligned with organizational capabilities. Here we present some examples of harm from poor enterprise environmental factors analysis. First, construction project. Ignoring local safety regulations in the WBS could lead to fines or work stoppages. Second, software project. Not accounting for the company's agile methodology might result in a rigid, phase-based WBS instead of iterative sprints. Third, global team project. Failing to structure the WBS around time zones may cause coordination delays. The fourth input to the Create WBS process is the organizational process assets info. The input of organizational process assets is critically important to the Create WBS process in project management. The key contributions of organizational process assets to the Create WBS process are the following. 1. Templates and standards. First, organizations often provide WBS templates from past projects, which help in structuring the current project's WBS efficiently. Second, standardized naming conventions. Numbering systems and decomposition guidelines ensure consistency. 2. Historical WBS examples. Previous project WBS documents serve as references, reducing effort and improving accuracy in decomposition. 3. Policies and procedures. Organizational guidelines on how to break down work, define deliverables, and structure control accounts influence WBS creation. 4. Lessons learned and best practices. Insights from past projects help avoid mistakes and adopt proven techniques for effective WBS development. 5. Project management methodology. Some organizations prescribe specific WBS creation methods, such as agile, waterfall, or hybrid approaches, shaping how the WBS is structured. How can a poor organizational process assets analysis harm the Create WBS process? A poor analysis or neglect of organizational process assets can significantly harm the Create WBS process, leading to inefficiencies, errors, and project risks. Here we have how a poor organizational process assets can harm the Create WBS process. 1. Inconsistent or incomplete WBS structure. Without leveraging past WBS templates or standards, teams may create an inconsistent structure, such as mixing phases, deliverables, and activities haphazardly. As a result, we may have confusion in scope management, misalignment with organizational norms, and difficulty in tracking work. 2. Missed work packages or deliverables. Ignoring historical WBS examples increases the risk of omitting critical components. As a result, we may have scope gaps, rework, and potential project delays. 3. Duplication of effort and reinventing the wheel. Failing to use lessons learned or best practices means repeating past mistakes, such as improper decomposition levels. As a result, we may have wasted time, higher costs, and avoidable errors. 4. Non-compliance with organizational standards. Overlooking policies or WBS guidelines, such as mandatory control accounts and numbering systems, may lead to non-compliance. As a result, we may have difficulty integrating with earned value management or other tracking systems. 5. Poor stakeholder alignment. If the WBS doesn't align with organizational norms, stakeholders, such as finance and project management office, may misinterpret it. As a result, we may have miscommunication, approval delays, and conflicts. 6. Inaccurate cost and schedule estimates. Without historical data on work package sizing, estimates may be unrealistic. As a result, we may have budget overruns or unachievable deadlines. In conclusion, organizational process assets provide essential guidance, efficiency, and consistency in the Create WBS process. Leveraging them helps project managers develop a more accurate, reusable, and well-structured WBS aligned with organizational best practices. As a real-world example, Let's imagine that a construction firm ignores its organizational process assets library of past project WBS documents and creates a new WBS from scratch. Later, they realize, first, they forgot to include permitting as a work package, a recurring deliverable in past projects. Second, the WBS mixes phases and trade contractors inconsistently, causing confusion in reporting. Third, the project faces delays because critical dependencies were missed. As a final thought, it's important to note that organizational process assets are a knowledge goldmine. Ignoring them makes the Create WBS process riskier and less efficient. As impact of ignoring organizational process assets, we have, first, reinventing the wheel as we are missing out on prior knowledge. Second, inconsistent WBS structure, leading to misalignment with organizational standards. Third, higher risk of omissions or errors in work decomposition. Finishing this video, we will have in the next videos. 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many other videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you liked this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.